Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are doing really great. So let's see today's daily challenge on Leetcode and we will try to solve it together. So I hope today's challenge is a really simple one as it is marked easy. Count binary substrings. Given a binary string S, return the number of non-empty substrings that have the same number of zeros and ones, and all the zeros and all the ones in these strings are grouped consecutively. So please try to see carefully what is written. The substring, you need to count the number of such substrings, and not only those substrings should have equal number of zeros and ones. In fact, all the zeros and all the ones in this substring should be grouped together. So if you have a string, so let's say you are given some large string, and if you are counting one substring, and if it has something like this, how many zeros it has? It has three zeros and it has three ones. So the number of zeros and the number of ones in this substring is equal. Okay. But this is not the sufficient criteria for counting them. They also need to be together. So let's say if this substring was something like this, or it's let's say something like this, it means that not only the number of zeros and number of ones in this substring are both 3 and 3, they are also grouped together. So zeros are grouped and 1 are grouped together. Okay. So you need to count number of such substrings. Okay. So if you try to see this constraint over here, it is 1e5. So definitely you cannot go through all the possible substrings. So definitely one of the brute force approach can be to go through all possible substrings, to iterate through all of them, and see like if the zeros are consecutive and they have equal number of zeros and ones. One possible thing is to do that way. But if you try to see the first example and what are the substrings which are there. So let's see. The first example is something like uh, we have it to be 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1. This is the substring which is given to us, and you want to tell me that how many such substrings are there which have equal number of zeros and ones as zeros and grouped together. Now you see, if you select some pair like this, 1, 0, 0, 1, or 1, 0, and 0, 1 again. See, if they are repeated, you can count them twice. It is already told in the question. Okay. So if you see, this is in this substring, the number of zeros and number of ones are equal, and also they are grouped together, you can say, because there is only 1, 0, and 1, 1. So this is definitely a possible answer. So definitely this is count 1, this is 2, this is 3. Okay. So we have got three substrings so far. And now you can tell me that, hey, there are more substrings which satisfies the criteria. So if you try to see this string, this substring, you see they also have equal number of zeros and ones and they are grouped together. So in our 3, it is now 4 because this is also counted as 1. And if you see, this string is also another, so it's 5, and this string is also another, so it's 6. So total number is 6. So that's how it is happening. Okay. Now obviously, since the brute force cannot happen, one thing is that you can try to visualize how many strings are possible. So you see, you saw that this is a possible case, you saw that, and it's reverse also, whatever is a possible case, its reverse is also possible. uh, if 0, 0, 1, 1, this is also possible. You see, if there are three zeros and three ones, this is also possible. So all these substrings are possible. But what if there are unequal number of zeros and ones? Okay, so if you consider a substring, let's say like this, okay, and let's say a group of zeros and group of ones are there, you are just counting by groups. Okay, so the first idea is counting by groups. So you group all of them and you have a count of all of the groups. So you see, the first group is 2 here, second group is 2 here, third group is 2 here, fourth group is also 2 here. So see, but if you see, if you try to visualize something like the some group is 2 and some group is 3, and how many such strings can be there? So you see, uh, this can be a possible substring and this can also be. So since this is 2, it is contributing each one of them. But since this is a bigger number, it is not contributing each one of the ones. Okay. So let's try to see some other case. Some other case, like let's say if there are 4 ones, let's say 5 ones and 3 zeros. Okay. Then what will be the possible substrings? You can say this is a possible substring. You can say this is a possible substring. I hope you do realize, right? 1 0 1 1 0 0. You can also say that this is a possible substring. So it has 3 ones and 3 zeros for you. And now you try to see the pattern over here. There were 5 ones in this group. There are 5, and in this group there are just 3. But still, there are only 3 of them. So if you see, if you try to see if this is the ith group, the minimum among, let's say, group I and group I minus 1. If this is I minus 1. So minimum among group I and group I minus 1 is the thing which you need to add to your answer. Let's say you have a global variable answer equals to 0 initialized. You can just add this value to your answer, and that will be your final result. If you see, you add 3 here, you want to add 2 here, and so on. And if you see, in this given example, the group is nothing but 2 2 2. And if you try to iterate from here, if you try to count this 2 and take the minimum of these 2, you have 2 added to your answer. Then again you go here and just take the minimum of these 2, then again 2 added to your answer. In this way also you get 6. So I hope it is pretty clear to you, and you can try to code this out on your own now. So if you have understood the solution, you are free to drop off from the video and code it out on your own. Okay. Otherwise you can just uh, watch the solution also. So let's see, we have this whole length of the string as s dot length. Okay. And what are we going to do? We need to have a vector of groups. Okay. So we'll call that group, and I will push back some elements into this group, which is nothing but the group of zeros and the group of ones, which are placed together. Okay. Okay. So let's say have this n, and I need to add some count to this group. Okay. I hope this is very clear. Group dot pushback. So you can add this count to your group. And but how do we calculate this count? So while you can say you have a character C, so let's have another character C, which is nothing but the ith element of this string, and you want to check that while this s of I is equal to C, I want to increment my I, and I want to increment my count also. And while I less than n, because you do not want at any time I to exceed the bound of the end. So I hope you do understand what I mean by this. So if you are starting with a 0, you want to calculate the whole group. You want to calculate the size of the whole group by incrementing this I. And yeah, so I hope you do understand how we are calculating this count. So let's say you have some zeros, and in between you have 4 ones, let's say, and you want to have this uh, you want to count the number of for this. Now you have your I over here. You see that s of I is nothing but 1. So while s of I is equals to 1, you just keep iterating your I. You see, hey, this is count 1, count 2, count 3, count 4. And when you go here, you realize that, hey, no more s of I is equals to 1. This s of I is 0 over here. So we have our final count to be 4, and we will break from the loop. But you see, your I is now pointing over here, and in your next iteration of the for loop, your I will go over here. Okay. I hope you do understand that, because I plus plus, and when the group ends, there will be 2 times I plus plus. So in order to not happen that, you can do an I minus minus over here. I hope this is clear to you. This is no, this should be not a problem. You just take this example and try to visualize. I hope you get that easily, right? Yeah, so because this I plus plus in the for loop happens anyways. So how to calculate the answer? It's pretty straightforward for this. Uh, as I told you, you can just start with an I with I equals to 1, I less than n for this group, and you can just calculate this mean of I and I minus 1 of the group. So you can have I less than this group dot size I plus plus. Yeah, I should go from 1 because you want to calculate I and I minus 1 also. Okay, so answer plus equals to uh, minimum among group of I and group of I minus 1. And I hope it is very simple. You can just simply return answer. So yeah, I guess this was a straightforward problem, not much difficult. You cannot say this is a difficult problem. So yeah, let's try to submit it and see if it works for all the test cases. So yeah, you do have it working for all test cases. And if you try to see this I iterates to every S of I only once. So although this is a nested loop, the time complexity will be a simple O of n. I hope there is no problem in that. It's a simple O of n time complexity and you have a decent runtime. So yeah, that's all for this video, I will say. And I hope you were able to understand it. And by now, actually, this problem should be easy for you. You cannot say this is a medium problem. If you are thinking this is not so easy, then definitely you need to work. So yeah, that's all for this video. I will meet you in the next video. Till then, thanks a lot.